Hi guys, Richard Liu here at NZ Entrepreneur, and today on Innovation Nation, I'm delighted to be speaking to Linda Stewart. Linda is the CEO at the Central Economic Development Agency, or CEDA, and she's talking to us today from Palmerston North. Linda, thank you for joining us today.
Kia ora, Richard. Thank you very much for having me today.
So Linda, can we just start by tell us a little bit about yourself and your role, what that involves, and if you can paint a picture also of the role of CEDA. What is it you guys are all about?
Richard, I probably have the best job in the world 95% of the time. I'm fortunate enough to lead some of the most passionate people, I believe, in New Zealand, and we get up every morning with the sole purpose to support our people, our community, our businesses and our region to be the very best they can be. And I think that's a pretty good reason to get out of bed in the morning.
Awesome, yeah. And in terms of, let's say, the economy, local economy, and innovation, what are some of the things that you guys work on or do?
Sure. The Central Economic Development Agency was set up by two very future-focused councils. So Palmerston North City Council, which you can see behind me, and also Manawatu District Council. And they wanted an independent agency, if you like, so sitting outside of local government to drive and facilitate the creation of not just growth, but economic prosperity and wealth in Manawatu and beyond. So internally in CEDA, we've got a real breadth of expertise from investment attraction, business development, business support, right through to destination management, marketing, communications, and also those with some depth of background in education and developing our talent pipeline for the city and district. So we work across three main pillars, if you like. I like to keep things simple. When it comes to economic development, we're here to support our people, to support our business community, and to promote and profile our place in New Zealand and in the world to attract more people, more businesses, and more investment. We do that, though, not just as an individual entity, but also through our partners and the relationships we hold. We're quite a small organisation. There's 19 people in CEDA, and we've got a reasonable budget, but given our aspirations and our ambitions, we need to work in partnership with some of our regional stakeholders as well as the business community. And
can you give us a bit of an idea of the regional sort of economic makeup, at least traditionally? So, for example, I know you're a couple of hours north of Wellington. What's the population and what's traditionally driven the local economy?
Our population is growing, and it's growing pretty rapidly at the moment, which is great on one hand, but it's also as well putting some pressure on things like our housing market, for example. So a similar story to many other parts of New Zealand. Many people will know our region as a centre of primary production of a more provincial or rural kind of region. And that is absolutely part of our history and part of our strengths as well, Richard. And we've grown up a lot from there. So many people will know us from their time as a wild student at Massey University. Many will have, come here to study things like agriculture or horticulture. And that foundation has set us in really, really good stead. So as a city and a district, we've got a population of pushing 90,000. So we're big enough for a bit of critical mass, but not too big that your daily commute's any longer than maybe 5 to 10 minutes, depending on where you stay, which is quite a luxury when I think of what some of our fellow Kiwis face across New Zealand.
Are there any new sort of emerging industries, or what's the future sort of looking like? And from an economic development point of view as well, in terms of innovation, are there any sort of areas of focus in your sites?
So if we kind of draw on what we just touched on there around that history, if you like, of our region, one of the reasons why Manawatu were actually performing through COVID twice as well as the rest of New Zealand's economy. So we've been impacted, and I don't want to say that we haven't, because there's many in our community that are still facing some significant challenges. But by and large, the shock to our economy and our community has been a lot less than some of our regional counterparts. The reason for that is because of the diversification in our economy, and because of the strength of our primary industries. And when I say that, I mean food production, but I also mean our scientific community, our agri-food and our agri-tech sectors as well. It's really, really important to note that our economy in Manawatu is not a one-trick pony kind of economy. But at the same time, when we talk about diversity, it's not superficial. So I don't just mean that we've got lots of different sectors or different types of businesses. We actually have quite a deep capability within that diversity. So many of the sectors that we do have here work in synergy or complement each other. What does that mean in kind of real person's terms? If we think about our strength in farming, in food production, we're great at growing things, be that grass, vegetables, beef, milk. But we also as well have a depth in our education and research and development and innovation sectors. All of that kind of clusters together so that we build up a depth in how we operate and how we work. So we're not just here to produce food, we're here to provide real value to that. So what we challenge ourselves with every day is what's the best we can do with food, and how can we support our food producers, our manufacturers, our packagers, those that distribute food, to do that more effectively, more efficiently, and tap into that innovation that the likes of Massey University, Ag Research or Plant and Food that are based here are generating. So that's a bit of insight into, yes, you know, we still are a great kind of rural centre, but we've got this deep tech and deep capability that helps us to make the most of that. You mentioned what are the kind of growth areas, or what are we all aiming for here? One thing that's stood us in good stead is that as a city and a district, as a region, we've been really united behind a common vision for our place in New Zealand, and that is for Manawatu to be New Zealand's most progressive region by 2025. And what that's led to is the co-creation of 3 big goals. And all that we do is trying to push forward and drive to achieve those goals. So number 1, we will become one of the top 3 agri-food hubs in the world by 2025. We've benchmarked ourselves at currently in the top 10. So it's realistic, but it's still a stretch, and it's a good stretch. Number 2 is to be a leading distribution and logistics hub, leveraging off our role in central New Zealand. So the 4th node of distribution and logistics in New Zealand. And then the 3rd one, and potentially the most important one, is that we become renowned for our lifestyle and our competitive advantages as a region, so that we are a magnet for business, investment and talent here. So what we've seen is a real kind of coalition of the willing, from the public sector to the private sector, getting right in behind this vision and these 3 goals. And everybody's now driving to make it a reality, which is quite exciting.
That is super exciting. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. You mentioned COVID. Let's talk about that quickly. And that your particular region has managed to do twice as well in terms of managing the fallout, I guess, around COVID. So can you paint a bit of a picture for us around, from your organisation's point of view, what happened when we went into lockdown, and was there anything specific that you sort of came together to do for the local business community, or what was the response there from CEDA?
Wow, it was a bit of a wild time, and in some ways right now, Richard, it seems like it was a long time ago, and in other ways it seems like it was only yesterday we were all getting that announcement from the government that we're in level 3 and then moving to level 4 in 48 hours. We were already in preparation as a team and an organisation for what we believed was coming. And we had two main things that we were absolutely laser focused on, and that was to support businesses and protect jobs. And all that we did, especially through that lockdown period, but it still continues today, is based on those two kind of key drivers, if you like. I have to say, though, providing business support at the scale and speed that was required at that time was a huge challenge. And I've got to do a big shout out to my team and to many of the other teams that were involved right across the region in what everybody did to make that happen. For example, my team, I don't think they had a day off in about 12 weeks, and it was pretty much a kind of 15, 16 hour a day job to ensure that we were there for our business community on the end of the phone, email, chat, social media, and providing them with access to the support that was available, and to make that as easy as possible. I don't know how everybody else found it, but especially in the early days, it was a bit overwhelming, the amount of news and information and funding and support. Do you get it from IRD? Do you get it from MSD? Where does this all come from? We set up a business hub on our website, a COVID support hub, to essentially strip all of this down into plain English so that we could help our business community navigate it and get that support out as quickly as we possibly could. And some of that was really specific support, could have been around continuity or cash flow management, could have been around HR, or even marketing and communications support has become more and more important now as we move through this journey. We also as well brought about things, we couldn't get together face to face, which was really hard because that provides a real sense of sort of peer support and community. So let's do it online. And we run, a whole range of different workshops and webinars to help get that kind of support out to as many people as possible. And, just to give them the messages that we're in a good place, let's keep the communication open. We're aware of the challenges, but let's work together and keep telling us what you need so that we can adapt how we operate to help you as quickly as possible. Some of the other things that was just awe-inspiring, though, Richard, came from our private sector, who were the ones that were, neck deep in this and facing some of the most significant challenges that, many of us are ever likely to see in our lifetime. And they got together to say, how can we support our people? What can we do to help retain people in jobs? They set up a platform that helped connect businesses to other businesses so that they could do secondments, job shares, whatever it was that we could do to try and help people stay in employment, even if it was on reduced hours. And I think that kind of, innovative thinking, but as well, yes, we've got central government support, but hell, the private sector are brilliant at, coming up with things in a really fast, agile and innovative way. And in our region, we really saw them rise to the challenge, which was inspiring.
Undoubtedly, out of every challenge, there are opportunities for progress and growth and to just step up to that new level. So it's great to hear.
Yep.
So it's been a really interesting year. Let's call it interesting. That's been kind, probably. What else have been some of the highlights for you as far as innovation or entrepreneurship in the area? Anything spring to mind?
A couple of really big things for us as a region, and it has been an interesting year. But number one, we have seen continued confidence and investment into our city and our district, such as the $40 million that was announced on the Kiwi Rail development for their new Central New Zealand freight hub. We've also, as well, on a related note, seen both continued investment but progress getting made on other huge projects in the region. So the likes of Te Āhua-Turonga, the Manawatu-Tararua Highway, the Mercury Energy Turitea Wind Farm, as well as things like our Central Energy Trust Arena redevelopment. So that kind of level of investment and that continued, push forward the construction, the civil engineering works, gives our whole community a sense of confidence that, the wheels haven't stopped, they're actually still motoring along here. And what that's led to, Richard, is investment from our private sector. So central government and public sector investment is great, but it's how do you leverage that to get the private sector investment coming through? And we've seen that in our region from the likes of the Countdown Distribution Centre, one of the largest in New Zealand, kicking off construction up near our freight hub development. We've also seen it with the Centennial Park. The housing development over at the Hokowhitu Lagoon has just progressed at a rate of knots. So it sends really positive signals right through not just our region, but the wider kind of lower North Island that, yes, it's tough out there, but look at this, there's still a lot of hope and there's a lot of reasons to be positive about the future. The second one that's super exciting, and it's really well aligned to that first big goal I talked about us aiming to become one of the top 3 agri-food hubs in the world. Our international reputation as a leader in the agri-tech sector, not just in New Zealand, but globally, took another huge leap forward this year. With the announcement that Callaghan Innovation was partnering with Sprout, our global agri-tech accelerator based here in Palmerston North, to become one of their tech incubators. That was a really significant boost, not just to Sprout and our local innovation ecosystem, but also because it included 2 of New Zealand's most iconic companies, Fonterra and Gallagher. And also it had a global venture capital firm involved, Finisterre Ventures, who also have their New Zealand office based here in Palmerston North, alongside Israel's most active venture capital investor, Our Crowd, all contributing to that. So it was really a big leap for us, and it's all credit to the Sprout team and to exceptional leadership from their chief executive, Dean Tilliard, to actually bring something of that scale together for New Zealand. So there's still some exceptional people doing exceptional things here in Manawatu, Richard.
Looking forward to 2021 or beyond. What are some of the things you guys are sort of working on? Or you're looking forward to?
Crikey, the list is quite long, but well, one, we're still focused on providing that support to businesses first and foremost, but not taking our eye off the prize for those 3 big goals. At the moment, we've got some great initiatives coming out for our visitor sector. Many people don't really appreciate that Manawatu's visitor sector is one of our largest visitor sectors. So while we might not be, a whale or a snorkel kind of visitor market, it contributes over $500 million to our economy annually. So we're just about to roll out a really significant visitor campaign and a really cool partnership with a company called Neat Places that uses, the voice of our community and what our community love to see and do here to help show off some of the more undiscovered parts of New Zealand, which is really cool. We've also, as well, we're just about to hit our Westpac Choose Manawatu Business Awards. We've put our self out there to run these awards in what's quite a challenging space for our business community and also for the event sector, and they're due to be held in December. And we did that because, hey, we need to celebrate the resilience and the innovation that our businesses have shown through the past year. But we also as well want to use the opportunity to get them all together to reconnect and to, share in that confidence that you only get when you're really talking to your peers that are out there that have faced the same challenges. And then, of course, we're really focused on that Kiwi Rail investment and leveraging that. So the Central New Zealand Freight Hub is a huge project for us because it brings together the freight side of rail with our airport and also with our roading network. So that's a huge project that will help us to attract more business and more investment into the region. And then in the new year, 2021, which seems like a long way away already, is New Zealand Agri-Food Week will be brought back bigger and better, really showcasing, as we talked about earlier, that depth of innovation, talent, capability that we have here in Manawatu right across that food value chain and how it intersects with technology, science and research and development. So there's some exciting things in the pipeline.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. And you mentioned there, the importance of celebrating sort of the resilience of businesses in the area and the innovation that has continued to happen throughout 2020. And of course, people can check out some really cool stories coming out of the Manawatu Whanganui region in our Innovation Nation series. So, yeah. So, on a personal note, what is it about your region, Manawatu, Palmerston North? What do you love about it?
I moved halfway around the world to be here, so I'm potentially one of its biggest advocates. What I can say is I've lived all around the world and I've never come across such a sense of community, such a sense of connectedness and vibrancy, but that shared passion that exists to really almost prove a point to not just the rest of New Zealand, but internationally about what's possible when you live and work and you're from Palmerston North and Manawatu. And we're, like I mentioned, we're all really focused together as a region on achieving that bigger goal. And that's really inspiring. Really personally though, I love the fact I do a bit of triathlon, and I love the fact that I can get out on my bike for a few hours up out into the Ruahine Ranges and the beautiful Pongana Valley. Might not see a soul apart from, a few cows, sheep, deer for many hours. And then when I come back into town, I can take in some of New Zealand's best shows at our Regent Theatre or Centrepoint Theatre, go out for a beautiful meal and, indulge in a few cocktails or have a glass of champagne at one of the local bars. You kind of got that great mix of everything. And it's really easy as well. I find myself getting annoyed if my commute takes me 5 minutes to work in the morning because it should only take 3, but there might be a few extra cars at the traffic lights. And coming from the UK where my daily commute was a couple of hours, I can't tell you how much life that gives you back in a day. So it's quite a vibrant urban place to live, but at the same time, you can escape it in minutes for a bit of mindfulness, for a bit of time on your own, which is so important in the hectic life that we all lead, Richard.
And for our viewers watching from around New Zealand and within Manawatu and Whanganui, have you got any last sort of messages you'd like to share?
It's been a really difficult year for all of us, and I don't think that we're through a lot of it yet. So as well as us all dealing with the here and now on what feels like a day-to-day basis, let us all stay focused on the future. Take advantage of being in New Zealand. It's possibly the very best place in the world to be right now. And let's all make use of our incredible resilience and that innovative spirit that we've shown. And let's lead from the front, team, and show what's possible within this very challenging and uncertain time. New Zealand's the best place in the world to be, and Manawatu, I believe, is the best region to be in. And so if you're not here, I'd strongly recommend that you come out and check out what we've got to offer.
That's Linda Stewart, CEO at CEDA. Thank you so much for joining us today, Linda.
Thank you very much, Richard.